It's your boy Conserviz34. We're going to talk about Live Trax 52. This is going to be the 2014 show on June 6, 2014 in Bangor, Maine at the Darlings Waterfront Pavilion. I actually was at the next show, June 7th, 2014, which, you know what? That would have been a better pick. Lovely Ladies came back, but the show wasn't ruined by the Lovely Ladies because we didn't know they were coming, and it was the first show of that year. So it wasn't predictable. You know, they did a long black veil, and they busted out a couple other stuff. No one knew what they were going to do. They had a number 36, really like the closest thing we've gotten to a real number 36 in forever, with them coming on. So that would have been a better show than this June 6th show. So this is a midweek show that doesn't have much special about it. Let's talk about what makes this show great. In the acoustic set, the bartender and two-step, those are songs 2 and 3. Pretty cool to have those. And that two-step was pretty cool that year. To get it shortened but have it acoustically, you know, Tim not blaring over Dave, awesome. Stolen Away on 55th and 3rd, that was another highlight of this year. It was one of those songs that left in your head after going to two-set shows. And I went to a couple of them in that 2014 year and also 2015. But again, nothing that's like, whoa, that's awesome. Recently, cool. 3 minutes 55 seconds. It's not the extended full band version, which to me is better. I'll Back You Up is, you know, it was a good song. I got that in Hartford. So, you know, it was a good song. Got that later in the year in July, Hartford Night 2. But again, for the acoustic set, what made the acoustic set awesome, when they would bust out Raven, when they would bust out The Stone, none of those are present in this set. So the issue with these two set years is some of these acoustic sets, they were cool because you could hear Dave's guitar, but the songs they played were the same, and they were, you know, it was Trippin' Billy's ends this acoustic set. So the acoustic set, pretty standard for this year. Nothing to write home about compared to what was being played and what was special. Also, we get to the electric set, and again, there's not much that you can write home about. The highlights to me, Blue Water, a little bit into the electric set, a partial, but that's 1 minute and 41 seconds of the entire live tracks. We've gotten Blue Water already, and as far as the partial version on some of the warehouse discs, and I believe D&B Live 25 had it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then you do have a Drive In, Drive Out. They actually played it 12 times that year, and that song needs to come back. I don't know where it went. So that's a special moment. But other than that, everything else is standard cookie cutter, mailing it in for the weekday so that when they get to the weekend, tomorrow in Mansfield, which was the next show, 6-7, they're going to bust out some special stuff like Long Black Veil. Encore, Space Between and Ants Marching. Yeah, you know, cool. But I mean, nothing again to write home about. So to me, this show was not Live Trax worthy, but we'll see how it sounds. I'm interested to hear that Blue Water. But again, I don't know if I'm going to buy this. I said that about the other live tracks. But Live Trax 51 actually was from a good year from the band with Leroy still there. So that was special. This show, I don't know. Now let's look at the show that they already have from 2014. DMB 2 sets. We had the Berkeley show there at the Greek Theater. Now, this show had some of the things that made it somewhat stand out, although, again, not a super best live tracks ever. So it had a Burning Down the House at the end of the electric set. It had a Stay or Leave to start off, which those were cool acoustically. But it also had it recently, just like this show. Rhyme and Reason was pretty cool. I got that, I believe, in Hartford that same year. And that was also in this Live Trax 32. But there's not really much to write home about in these 2014 shows. Now, the extended tracks that they had for this Greek Theater show had, I believe it was like some other special highlights. But again, this show, to my knowledge, Live Trax 52 doesn't have an extended tracks. So you're getting a cookie cutter show with no extended tracks. You're not busting in to the next night in Mansfield and getting something special. You're not busting in to get the You Never Know from Hartford 7/12/2014, or 7/11/2014, the Butterfly, which I was like, bruh, we just got Butterfly? Yeah. And my poster is up there from that 2014 show. You guys can't see it. But, I mean, these shows, the way that they did these two sets, they lacked variety. And while some of it was cool and special, because you could hear Dave's guitar in the acoustic sets were pretty cool. It was a warm-up, but it wasn't like every night they were busting out Raven, The Stone, and some other special jazzy songs that you would get here and there, few and far between. So I didn't think this was a good pick, but it is a two-set show. They're not going to 2019. They're not going to 2018. Granted, they're dropping so many of these shows for the drive-ins and for D&B radio. They're going to run out of live tracks to release for those years, which, by the way, 18 and 19, these shows aren't really live tracks worthy from the last couple of years. So it's good that they went back in time. I would have preferred a 2015 show with a little more angst, not angst, a little more pizzazz to it, if that. But the two sets are very, very polarizing. Now, people who went to this show in Maine are excited because they were at the show. Any show I've been to, it becomes a live tracks, I'm automatically buying it. So you're getting some of that reaction. Some people are happy that, oh, it was a great show. But beyond that, this was a middle of the week show in Maine. So if you weren't at this show, they had 13,315 people. Not many of those are diehard D&B fans, let's be honest. So not many people went to this show. You're not going to get the sales when they release a Hershey show, when they release a Hartford show, when they release a Pittsburgh show. These shows have tons of fans that buy the merch. You're not getting this with this Maine show. So I don't believe this thing is going to sell well, even though we don't get to look into the sales for live tracks. I don't believe this show is going to generate a lot of buzz or pizzazz. Maybe they're doing that on purpose. Maybe the next Live Tracks 53 will be something that's really popping. But what we're seeing now, Live Tracks is getting into the early 50s. It's about to be mid to late 50s. What we're seeing now is that these shows, they're hoarding a lot of shows that we've requested, right? That's one thing. They're hoarding a lot of these great classic shows, or they just don't want to release them because there's a couple moments where the band doesn't sound perfect. And Dave and the rest of the band, if nothing's perfect, then they don't want it to be released. And that's why the Live Track series takes so much time to go back in time. They literally modify, edit. They mute Boyd when he messes up. They lower other stuff. They raise other stuff. They're so sensitive with their music, and it's their art. They have every right to be. But to me, give me a D&B that makes a bunch of mistakes but actually has courage to play some special stuff. It's just you're not going to get this from the live track. So, you have certain shows that just haven't been released yet. And then you also have the fact you have 52 shows that have been released. So you're seeing a lot of repetition now. Now that we're getting 50-something shows in, you're seeing a lot of similar shows. You're seeing, oh, they already did a bunch of these shows from this year. And really, the prime of the band is 2000 to 2004. Maybe you put 1999. I'm talking like this was the best mix of the band's maturity and the band's catalog, and everything is rolling. Because once you get out past 04, you get to stand up taking over for a couple years before Roy passed. 07 was pretty solid. 06 had some special shows. I remember having that 06 Summer Tour sampler before I even ever went to a show, right? But but 2000 to 2004, that's your bread and butter. 99, you can make arguments for. 98 was a special year, but they only had the big 3 albums and some stuff for change, so it's pretty repetitive. But anything that is not 2000 and 2004, or if it's not from those years, if it's not the best show from that year, it's not going to get a lot of buzz. So they're running out of options. Hopefully they pick better. Hopefully they just say, you know what, this show wasn't perfect, but it was very, very special. And start releasing more shows that we're not seeing. July 4th, 2015, I believe, the show where they had that special show in Saratoga Springs. That's one that, should get a nod. There's some 2013, 2012 shows that were very, very special that should get a nod. And then you just have tons of nameless shows in the Leroy Moore era that, should get shine. So hopefully we will get some more things. What do you want from the live track series. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. It's your boy Conserviz34. Peace.